Good morning. It is 6:32 on Friday, July the 26th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day again today, so saddle up and get ready to do some stuff outside. Maybe even make your way to downtown Hazard later on this evening to check out some live music. But before it all starts, we're going to bring in meteorologist Kelly McShane so she can give us a breakdown of what to expect. Kelly, a little bit of fog to start things off this morning, but that's been pretty blanket across the whole week, right?
Right, we've been seeing that fog, especially in the same places throughout the week. So overall, you can expect pretty much the same morning as the last few mornings, as well as those temperatures. We are in those upper 50s to low 60s still. Prestonsburg at 59 degrees. Ashland, you are at 63. Monticello, 55 this morning. Williamsburg, you are at 57. And here's that fog we were talking about, especially into the Cumberland Valley region, a little bit into Floyd County as well as Ashland. So be careful. Interstate 64, Interstate 75, as well as through Harlan and Bell counties. So for the travel forecast, we're giving you a yellow car once again today, just because that fog could be thick at times. Be sure to use those low beams. But then by the time we get to this afternoon, a few clouds here and there, but another day of plenty of sunshine. I will have that full forecast in a little bit.
All righty, Kelly, thank you. Well, some sad news this morning. Kentucky State Police tell us a man is dead after a farming accident in Whitley County. They say it happened in the Watts Creek community around 10 last night. Police tell us the man fell off a tractor while mowing with a bush hog. KSP is still investigating the accident. We will continue to update this story as we learn more information. Well, Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear was in Harlan yesterday talking to Black Jewel coal miners about their lost wages. The miners are also not receiving benefits such as 401k payments and child support. WYMT's Emily Bennett talked to miners about their continued frustration.
After weeks of frustration, still no end in sight.
It's going to be a long process. It's not something that's going to happen within a couple of weeks. It's probably going to take months to get through.
Black Jewel coal miners met with Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear in a private meeting.
The reason we did the meeting the way we did today is so that everybody could be candid. These are really proud, hardworking people that are going through real hardships, and I wanted to make sure I could hear their specific concerns and where we could address them, do everything we can.
Some of those concerns being over 401ks and child support. Quincy Adams says he had problems with child support months ago.
Back in January, February timeframe, I actually had child support being deducted from my account, and my ex-wife called me and told me that she hadn't been receiving child support.
And he's not the only one missing that money.
Somebody's got the money. I don't know who's got it. Somebody's got it. My children's not getting to, experience having that money. And I pay $1,000 a month. Coal miners pay a lot of child support.
Beshear says he's trying to get what's owed back to the miners.
I'm pressing this bankruptcy court to change their practice and to do something unprecedented and to go ahead and pay those wages.
Along with hiring investigators to look into the situation. The miners want their money and legal action.
See charges brought against Black Jewel because it's not right. Definitely not right.
And Harlan County is making sure a lawsuit does take place. In Harlan County, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, attorneys for Black Jewel miners filed a class action lawsuit in federal court yesterday. The lawsuit takes aim at unpaid wages, lost benefits, and the fact miners received no notice they would be out of a job. Attorney General Andy Beshear also visited a health care clinic in Hazard yesterday. He discussed expanding care for workers with black lung during a tour of primary care center. He also gave some advice to the groups impacted by the recently passed pension bill during a special session.
I would encourage every single group to stay in the system, because I do believe that there are significant legal issues, and I can tell you if anybody was at risk at that moment of losing their promised retirements, then yes, we would be very strongly pushing legal action.
Beshear is challenging Governor Matt Bevin in the November election. Governor Bevin will be making a couple of transportation announcements in eastern Kentucky tomorrow. Well, an iconic symbol in Floyd County is now on the move to a new home. Crews spent much of the afternoon yesterday removing the Abraham Lincoln statue from the property of Eric C. Kahn's old law office. Jerry Flannery bought the statue earlier this summer and donated it to the fiscal court. It will soon be moved to the Middle Creek battlefield, where county officials hope it will provide more context to the historical site. Well, Kentucky native Kelly Knight Craft is one step closer to becoming the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee approved her nomination yesterday. It now goes to the full Senate. Senator Mitch McConnell introduced her at the committee hearing. Kraft is married to coal industry leader and Hazard native Joe Kraft. The federal government cuts an $850 million check to make American travel smoother and safer. U.S. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao announced 20 grants for states and cities from Maine to California. The cash will help repair and replace roads, bridges, waterways, and more. Experts say the country's infrastructure is in desperate need of repair, but the law that made yesterday's investment possible is set to expire in about a year.
The best news that we have out of Washington is that we have bipartisan agreement that we need to get this legislation replaced. Everyone agrees that we need to support our infrastructure. It's just a question of getting everyone to the table and sitting down and figuring out what's going to work best.
The head of the Federal Highway Administration has said all options are on the table when it comes to finding ways to fund future investments. A Senate committee is set to weigh in on just how to pay for long-term transportation needs next week. Yesterday's grants will be matched by $2.3 billion in state, local, and private investment. More than 12 U.S. Marines are in custody this morning, accused of being part of a human smuggling ring. Laura Podesta has more from New York.
16 Marines stationed at Southern California's Camp Pendleton were taken into custody early yesterday. All are accused of helping to smuggle migrants into the U.S.
Basically, it's a shock to the system.
The arrests happened as the Marines stood gathered in battalion formation. A spokeswoman said the operation was carried out in public with the goal of sending a message.
As soon as the arrests happen, the staff NCOs and officers are really talking in an open dialogue with their Marines.
The inquiry is being handled by the NCIS, the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. Its probe began July 3rd when a Border Patrol agent stopped 2 other Camp Pendleton Marines near the Mexican border. 3 undocumented migrants were allegedly hiding in their back seat. The military says information from that case led to Thursday's arrests.
If and when those charges are brought to those Marines, at that point we'll be able to release the identification of those Marines plus the specifications of what they've actually been charged with.
8 additional Marines from Camp Pendleton were taken into custody for questioning about a separate criminal matter. It's believed to be drug-related. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
All of the accused are believed to be between the ages of 18 and 22 and serving in their first tours of duty. The Marine Corps says none of them had been assigned to any duties related to border security. Well, Jeffrey Epstein is on suicide watch after being found on the floor of his cell at a New York City jail. The multimillionaire is awaiting trial after his arrest earlier this month on sex trafficking charges. Law enforcement sources say Epstein was found lying on the floor of his jail cell earlier this week. He was semi-conscious, despondent, and crying with slight bruising around his neck. Epstein's clothing appears to have been used in the apparent attempt on his life. The 66-year-old was treated at the jail's infirmary for non-life-threatening injuries. An intense manhunt is underway for 2 teenagers in Canada. They are wanted for 3 murders. Police say they are looking for Cam McLeod and 18-year-old Briar Schmulgeski. The 2 were originally reported missing. Police now say they are wanted for the deaths of 3 people, including an American woman and her Australian boyfriend. The couple was on a road trip. Well, it's now 6:41 on this Friday. Let's send it on over to Kelly for a breakdown of what to expect on this last Friday of July. Kelly? Yes,
Will, don't get confused. It is Friday, not Thursday, so we can definitely celebrate about that. And we can celebrate about these temperatures we're seeing this morning as we're still feeling pretty refreshing out there. Upper 50s for a lot of us, low 60s for some of us. So overall, pretty comfortable start to the day, just like we have seen the last several mornings. Now our visibility, we're seeing that fog start to settle in a little bit more this morning, pretty thick in a lot of places. Less than 1 mile of visibility into Harlan and Bell counties, as well as Williamsburg. You're looking at 0 miles. So once again, traveling along Interstate 75 this morning from London to Williamsburg, you're going to run into that fog this morning. So definitely be careful on the roads. But by this afternoon, we will see plenty of sunshine, a few clouds here and there, but those temperatures warming up into the mid 80s. Will?
All righty, Kelly. Thank you, ma'am. Well, we will have stories that are trending on WYMT.com next. As always, thank you for joining us right here on Mountain News this morning. Still to come, one couple had an absolutely unforgettable honeymoon that unfortunately took a turn for the worse.